Hi, thank you so much for that warm introduction. I'm Dr. Lori Baker-Schena, and I'm here today to speak about the role of leadership with our board members. A lot of you, I remember, in fact, a year ago, here we were in a beautiful, beautiful room joining together to talk about the ABCs of HOAs. And yet today, here you are in front of your computer watching me. So the question becomes, how did we get here? Well, 2020 has been quite the year. And I love this photo because it represents everything that 2020 was to me. Here we are, excited about the new year. And then, in fact, I remember speaking to you last year about the possibilities of 2020. And then the disco ball dropped and things kind of blew up. And so we're sitting here today in December, and we've got to think to ourselves, how did we get here? What's going on? Well, obviously, the biggest culprit is COVID-19. And I want to talk a little bit about COVID-19 and how it impacted the way we feel, because it's important to figure out where we are so that we can become more positive as leaders. So, the first thing about COVID-19 is that it brought economic uncertainty. We don't know what's going to happen in the economy, and we've seen this past year truly ups and downs. We're definitely in the middle of a recession. The unemployment figures go up and down. So it's been very tough to really feel economically stable. The second thing that's really impacting us is the health uncertainty. I've been around a long time, and I cannot remember a time when the thought of going outside could possibly hold a health threat. So that's very disturbing, and it leads to a lot of uncertainty. And finally, we don't know when this is going to end. We don't know if it's going to last another 6 months, 8 months, a year. There's so much uncertainty, and that uncertainty leads to anxiety. So where we stand in December. So here we are, it's December 2020, and it seems that everyone is anxious. And I think that's because of the COVID-19 uncertainty factors. Winter is almost here, and that means perhaps even an increase in the COVID cases. And a lot of us are finding ourselves still juggling work and a home life and board member responsibility. So there's a lot of juggling, and that's stressful. Plus, holidays, come on, are always stressful, no matter how much fun they are. And you add a layer of pandemic to that, and the holidays become even more stressful. And what you see are a lot of homeowners on edge. And those homeowners on edge really make everyone feel a little bit anxious. So what do you do as a leader to rise above this? And that is what I want to really speak to you today about. And how we rise above this is to pivot to the positive. It is crucial that we stay positive during this time. Instead of that idea of we can't do this or we can't do that because we're in a pandemic and things are bad, we have to flip the switch here and say we can do that. And when we pivot to the positive, all of a sudden things start opening up, and you'll see a real lift in your life and in your leadership as a board member. So I want to kind of back up a little bit and talk about your role as a board member, because your role as a board member is a board leader. So why did you decide to become a board member? Well, a lot of you decided to do that because you wanted to protect your property values and the quality of life that you expect in your community. Some of you specifically joined the board because there was a particular problem that you wanted to correct in your community. Many of you wanted to join the boards because you wanted to give back to your community and your neighbors. Some of you wanted to just be sociable and meet your neighbors and make friends, which is always wonderful with the board. And finally, many of you wanted to express yourself and become real problem solvers and real creative so that you could figure out ways to elevate your community. But one of the most striking reasons why people become board members is the opportunity to hone your leadership skills. Because at the end of the day, you are leaders. Everyone watching me today is a leader. And that with that leadership comes responsibility. So, what are the characteristics of a successful board leader? First of all, a successful board leader has a willingness to serve the community with the capital S, serve the community. They possess excellent people skills. They know when to ask for help and when to delegate. They embrace change. And for the purposes of this discussion, they are positive and optimistic. That is the sign of a really successful leader. So, how do you get this positivity? How do you become a positive leader? One of my favorite books is called The Leadership Challenge. And I urge you to get a copy. There's a lot of used copies out there because it really talks about the 5 practices that you can do to really become a great leader. And I want to quickly go through those. The first practice is modeling the way. Great leaders create standards of excellence and set an example for others to follow. They model what they want to see. The second practice is they inspire a shared vision. Board leaders create an ideal and unique image of what the association can become, and then inspire other board members to see exciting possibilities for the future. That's inspiring a shared vision. The third thing is challenging the process. Forget the excuses. Let's look at the results. Board leaders that are successful search for innovative ways to improve the community, especially in light of CC&R restraints, budget constraints, yet they're still innovative in how they can elevate the community. The fourth thing, which I love, is enable others to act. Enable others around you, your board members, your homeowners. They foster collaboration. They build an enthusiastic team and actively involve others, understanding that mutual respect sustains extraordinary efforts. And finally, successful leaders encourage the heart. And this is probably the most important thing these days. To keep hope and determination alive, board leaders recognize the contributions that other people make and celebrate accomplishments and make people feel like heroes. They celebrate everyone on the board, their homeowners, the people who really make a difference. So it's great to be a great leader, of course, but how do you do that? Where does it come from? Well, it comes from lifting your own morale and your spirits. To be a great leader, you need to be confident, and you need that confidence to shine through. So what does that look like? Well, I have some ideas. This is my motivational speaker side, because first of all, we wake up every day where we can make a choice. We make a choice either to wake up happy or wake up miserable. You can, no matter what is thrown at you, you can either choose to have a miserable day or choose to be a happy day. I choose happiness every single day because I know that's the only thing that moves you ahead. Number 2, if you really want to improve your morale, make someone else happy. Do something for yourself, for a friend, for a homeowner, for the community. That really helps by making someone else's day, that lifts your morale. Live in gratitude. It's easy to get discouraged, but if you live in gratitude and be grateful for what you have, as opposed to being upset by what you don't have, your spirits will lift. I suggest you keep a gratitude journal where every night you list 5 things that you're grateful for. Even in the darkest days, I'm always grateful for flush toilets and pizza and microwave ovens. You can't beat that. Plus the fact that I can speak to you today and there's technology, even though I can't be with you in person, I'm grateful that we can connect. So those things are how you maintain gratitude. Be mindful of the fact that we are living this life right now, and everything you do impacts others. So when you speak, be mindful of the importance of being kind. When you collaborate, understand the importance of teamwork. Be mindful of everything you do so that you can move the whole board forward. Don't forget to ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help, and people like to help. So I suggest in all areas of your life, ask for help. You'd be surprised how many people are willing to step up and give it to you. Also, treat yourself with kindness. Don't beat yourself up. It's interesting when we speak to ourselves, a lot of times it's evaluative, like you didn't do this right, you didn't do that right. Instead, be observational with the way you speak to yourself. This is what happened, and maybe we can learn from it, as opposed to saying you're an idiot to yourself. I hope that makes sense because when you're kind to yourself, it helps you to be kinder to others. And that again elevates your morale. And finally, be flexible. I'm not as flexible as this guy, but I have to tell you that in this year particularly, and going into 2021, things are changing so rapidly. I mean, whew, that you need to be flexible so that you can change with it and you can bend rather than break. So, of course, I want to think about what's ahead of us, especially for 2021. Everyone's been using the phrase that you're the new normal. Well, I have news for you. There is no new normal. I think the, the pre-COVID-19 era is what it is, and we will never be back there. So every year after this is going to be a next normal because things will be continuing to change in all aspects of our world. So to really move yourself forward, you take a look back of this year and take a mistake audit. And what this means is look at all the mistakes you made dealing with the pandemic this year in terms of your board, in terms of your family, your relationships. What did I do wrong? And then from there, learn and say, what could I have done better? And when you do that, you can take all of that knowledge and all of that learning and bring it forward into the next year so that you can attack 2021 with optimism and positivity because you know the mistakes you made this year and you're not going to make them again next year. So, of course, I'm a former professor from Cal State Northridge and 25 years, and homework is a thing. So I want to give you, I hope you accept it, in 2021, I want you to make 3 commitments to yourself as homework. Think about what those commitments will be. And then when 2021 rolls around, you can do that. So the first one is create a professional goal to enhance your leadership performance. Maybe it's becoming a better listener. Maybe it's learning how to model the way. Maybe it's learning how to be a better collaborator. What can you do professionally to enhance your leadership performance? The second thing I'd like you to think about is what's one professional goal that you can create a culture of excellence with your board of directors. What can you do to elevate the board even more in 2021? And finally, what's one personal goal to enhance your quality of life? Maybe it's giving yourself more spare time just to relax. Maybe it's taking up a new hobby. Maybe it's doing something, going somewhere that is safe and good. Whatever it is, make yourself a pledge that you're going to enhance your own life. I want to thank you so much for this time. And I want to encourage you to remain positive and be a positive leader because when you do that, everything elevates. Thank you so much.